Hey, what's up everyone? So today we're going to be covering Ketu in the sign of Gemini, as in south node of the moon in Gemini, and what happens when these two energies come together. So what is the sign of Gemini? Sign of Gemini represents communication. It represents publication. It represents ideas. It represents discussing ideas, communication of ideas, because it is not the most detailed ideas like the Virgo ones, but it is the ideas that come in as a form of communication. Like you talk to people, say, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think of this? Hey, what about if there was this kind of a restaurant? What if they had this kind of a food? What if, they provided like bison steak? Okay, I just love food. So that's when, I need food. I haven't eaten in like what, since last night. So yeah, I need food. But yeah, communication of food. It's about, it's about doing like 10 different things at the same time. Like Gemini sign represent like multitasking. It's about this. It's communication of this, and that. And it's about print media. It's about PR. It's about announcing things. So then you bring Ketu here, the south node of the moon, which is what? Which is detachment, isolation. It is the things that you have mastered in your past life. So you have mastery over communication. Like for you, when you see somebody giving the most amazing speech, you'll be like, well, it's the easiest thing to do. So communication is like for you, like, you know what, I don't need to communicate because I already know. I know the art of communication. I don't need to go out there and show myself. So there's this detachment of the ego with communication. Like, I don't need to be out there and communicate this idea to you. I have this idea. And if it comes to life, comes to life. But I'm not going to push myself to discuss this with you. So Ketu here gives that detachment from communication. It gives that detachment from like not having the interest in reporting something. Because Gemini is about reporting. It's about, like a reporter going out, taking this news and providing it to the people here. Ketu in Gemini is like, this is happening. Well, it's happening because of, this life. This is how life is. It's screwed up. I don't need to tell anybody. Everybody knows, But remember, there's this tug of war always happening with Rahu and Ketu axis. Because opposite to the south node of the moon is the north node of the moon, which is Rahu. Rahu is the missions that you're here to complete. So Ketu, wherever Ketu is sitting, like Ketu in the 7th house, says that, okay, you're not going to find this satisfaction from spouse and legal bindings and legal business partnership and any kind of, like a marriage. You're not going to find it here because you know what? You've already experienced this in a past life. So go somewhere else. Go where Rahu is. You need to concentrate on yourself in this life. But guess what? People will still say, yes, I do have interest in finding someone who can love me, finding someone who wants to be with me, but they just always run into wrong people who either leave them or they die or whatever happens. But you know why this curiosity is still there? Because Rahu aspects the 7th place from itself. So obsession of Rahu is also curious about the 7th house, other people. Hey, what is this? House of other people? Ooh, let me explore that. But then Ketu there says block. Nope. Can't enter here. So this is why people always feel like, people always say Ketu is something you don't want, but then why do I want it? That's why you want it, because you have Rahu aspecting that. And then on the self, Ketu in the 7th house, let's say, looking at the self, you're like, you know what? I do need to concentrate on myself, but you know what? I still want that someone. You again try to concentrate on the other person, where Ketu doesn't let you, and then Ketu also brings that dissatisfaction with the self. So you see this tug of war happening. So even with the communication, Ketu says, I don't need to communicate for my ideas. They will come to life when they come to life. I want to concentrate on higher knowledge, higher learning. I want to be able to know the wisdom of life. Why? Because directly opposite to Ketu in Gemini is Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius. Your whole mission in this life becomes about higher learning. It becomes about going outside the box of religion and creating something new. So that tug of war keeps happening. So if a salesman with a Ketu in Gemini, without any aspects, will be like, so this is a washing machine, it washes your clothes, these are the specs of it, So you guys want to buy it? You guys are interested? All right, give me your card. Rahu in the sign of Gemini would be like, hey, before you even buy it, let me show you the most special feature of this thing compared to any other. You see this thing? This button automatically irons your clothes while your clothes are drying. Isn't that amazing? Okay, and now check this out. The price of this thing is nothing compared to the other ones. It's actually cheaper. So you see that obsession of Rahu, the salesman, the natural salesman who wants to have you buy it, puts a lot of interest and enthusiasm in there. Where Ketu is just like, okay, these are the specs, this is what the washing machine does. Yeah, it irons your clothes. So you guys are interested? He goes straight to the point. Because Ketu is still sharp. He goes straight to the point. Why? Because Ketu is a shadow of Mars. Mars is a charging army, that's soldier mentality, where Ketu is that standing army. That, hey, we already accomplished this. What's up? So is that direct forwardness like Mars. But hey, I've already told you what this machine is about. It's up to you guys. Okay, let's not waste my time. That's what Ketu becomes. So he does communicate, but he communicates very sharply into things. Now, Mercury is a ruler of Gemini. So even if Mercury is exalted, let's say in Virgo, you will be, because Mercury is the actual karka of communication, you will have the sound, detailed, oriented, and organized speech. But when it comes to ideas, the Gemini, wherever Gemini is placed, that's where your ideas are coming from. Your ideas of those things. So wherever the ideas is coming from, that's where the blocking comes into play. Like, well, I can communicate exactly the way people want me to, but when it comes to, just ideas, I have a hard time with them. They just don't come to me easily. Now, if Ketu has an aspect of Mercury, Mercury will provide some protection to his own house of Gemini. So ideas will come, but with a lot of struggle. If Mercury is sitting with Ketu, your speech is going to have problems in it. Your communication style will be awkward. People will be like, dude, you're not making sense. Make sense of what you're saying. You tend to have a hard time putting words together. You might be very good at mathematics. You'll be very good at calculative thinking. But when it comes to communication, you'll be one of those bad teachers. Like, the guy knows his shit, but when it comes to communication, he just doesn't know how to teach people. We have all had those teachers. That's what happens. But let's say if Jupiter is in Gemini with Ketu, then Jupiter brings his optimism in it. He subdues the Ketu's nature of detachment, because Jupiter is about the good things in life. Jupiter is about divine ideas, divine wisdom. So ideas then comes into play, especially in Jupiter time period. But as soon as Ketu time period comes, the blockage comes again, where I just cannot. It's not even like you're concentrating on ideas. You just don't feel like you need to create any ideas here. You're just like, it is what it is. The things the way they are, that's the way they are. Me thinking of some innovative ideas is really not going to do much, because everything's going to end. So everything's going to end up in singularity anyway. It's that Ketu's nature of going into the zero zone, the singularity zone. He wants to escape the material world. So communication is like there, but it's nothing enthusiastic for you. If somebody tells you to write a paper in college, you'll write it, but it's not like, ooh, let me write the most creative paper out there. So that's what Ketu does. But again, you have to look at the aspects and conjunctions of Ketu or any other planet to see how that house is being molded, which you will learn through my Shatbala videos that I'm going to be doing the second part this weekend, where you'll learn about the friendships and how even the great enemies might help each other out. So, all these concepts comes into play when you're talking about the Ketu, but this is just like the basic foundation of what Ketu is doing in the house of communication. You have mastery over communication. You know what exactly needs to be written, what exactly needs to be said. But when you do say it, you just say it. You don't really have a meaning behind it. You really do not have, your words do not really mean what you're trying to say. You just say it for the sake of saying. All right. So guys, this is my analysis of Ketu in the sign of Gemini. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Ketu is placed and what sign and house and aspect and conjunction it's receiving, check out the links below in the description section and check out my books there, Astrology at the Speed of Light and Conjunctions at the Speed of Light. And when you get these books, I will send you the link to look at your own chart so you can see what's happening with your communication. Otherwise, we are going to see you this weekend with the second part of Shatbala. Bye-bye.